right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining for our Leading Across Generational Challenges module. Now, typically, this is something I will go over with bigger enterprises that have at least like 10 plus employees. But after talking to a lot of you, I think this is something really great to come across. I think this is something really great to go through, even if you have 1 or 2 employees, because chances are they may span various generations based on what you need. So let's get into this. This particular module is really going to dig into truly when to be a leader and when to be a manager, and how to apply that within different generational challenges. And I'm referring to the age ranges from the individuals that you hire and staff and bring into your business. So a leader is someone who typically is known to be inspirational. They may help guide the team towards a unified goal. Whereas a manager mindset is an individual who is getting things accomplished and they keep things organized. So yes, you need to be both. You need to be both a manager and a leader, but there may be times where you step right into manager role, or maybe that's kind of your safety default. Maybe you naturally will just say, hey, welcome to work. Here's the 10 things we need to do today. Versus a leader say, oh my gosh, welcome in. How have you been? Okay, here is my big goal today. What do you think you can do to contribute to that? Or there's a few things that need done. What do you think about this? And really just getting some buy-in and hearing other opinions and maybe finding an even more effective or better way to get through things. So when we look at leading people, it's very easy to fall into a bias trap. So for example, I am a mom, so I have a little bit of patience when I see a mom come into my store shopping and her child is like her baby's fussy or ornery, and she's just trying to get what she needs, and the baby's just constantly maybe even crying and very upset and doesn't want to be in the stroller or even in the store. Some other biases may be, somebody who's in college can relate to other college people, but may not be able to relate to someone who is like their parents' age. And then, of course, we talk about, even with our heritage and our ethnicities, we may not understand how certain people may perceive things or feel about things that are said or in place. So as you begin to adopt a mindset and evolve your mindset to being inclusive and supportive, you have to realize things that you just naturally are okay with and things that you might feel a little uncertain about. So there are 4 main areas really that people can fall into a bias trap. So the first, I think, is the loudest. It's ethnicity and racial diversity. I think that sometimes there are stereotypes that happen within different ethnicities, and that's not right. You are going to meet some incredible people and some people who may not have the best intentions. You'll meet people that have a great work ethic and then others who don't, but to pin it on a specific ethnicity is not the right thing to do. And it's not going to help you come across with a inspirational and leader type mindset. Cultural diversity. People hold dearly various cultural, routines. And if it's not something you understand, then it could be something that you come across as dismissive. For example, depending on somebody's culture, certain dates in various months may be very special to them and considered maybe even holy. And if they request off because of these very holy and important days, and you're just like, no, why would you need off that day without understanding why it's important to them? Then again, you can come across as not as inspirational and supportive. Educational background. I've seen this trap a lot too. Individuals assume that if they don't have a college degree, or a master's degree, that they would not be as capable in the role. And I find that to be quite the opposite. I and I welcome hiring in, especially some of our younger generations that are still within Gen Alpha and Gen Z, because just the natural hack they have for technology in general and things that the stories I tell myself with things that I struggle with technology wise. And then, of course, what the majority of this presentation is about is the generational diversity. I see this so much where one generation just really has a hard time connecting with how another generation perceives what is professional and what is acceptable. And that's really what I want to dig into today. So before we dig into this, we love our quotes at Saige Consultants. Wade Boggs here says that a positive attitude causes a chain reaction of positive thoughts, events, and outcomes. It's a catalyst. It sparks extraordinary results. And this is so true. If you look at the way somebody does something or is and assume negative, you will project negative on them, and they almost then won't be able to do anything right. But if you try to see the approach through their lens and through their mindset, it's amazing what you can learn and grow. So as we dig into this, I just want to remind you to celebrate diversity. If you have the ability to bring people onto your team, I would encourage you to embrace a diverse team of employees. They're going to bring so much as far as experience, culture, ethnicity, generational understanding. And when you bring in diversity to your workforce, that can really help the diversity of your customer connections. And that is really, truly what you're here for, is to create really strong customer connections that turn them into customers for life. So really think about when you're hiring somebody in, who's someone who's different from you that your customer would also appreciate. So let's dig into this. Obviously, Gen Alpha is now starting to enter the workforce, but they're coming in as minors. So for this presentation in 2024, I'm going to focus really on Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z for this discussion. I will, of course, update this, but for right now, you can see where they're grouped into broad date ranges based on when they're born. So Gen X is typically 1965 to 1980, Millennials 81 to 96, and Gen Z born between 97 and 2012. Now, people who sit right in between those, do they actually default into one more than the other? I've seen that happen. Absolutely. I've seen people born in 78, 79 that really connect more and have a thought process more like millennials. And I've seen people born in the early 70s that are truly more like boomers, which I don't have listed here. So if you break down really some core values for each of these pillars, Gen X really seeks work-life balance. Millennials really value flexibility and the option for remote work. And Gen Z expects flexible work arrangements. It's interesting. They expect it. So think about that as you're bringing someone in and setting up what your business needs. Okay. Gen X values work ethic that allows them to be independent and self-reliant. Millennials value a work ethic that allow them to be part of team and bring a team together to accomplish a goal. And they really value that work-life balance in regards to large products and team projects. And then Gen Z wants a work ethic that is tech savvy, entrepreneurial in thought, and pragmatic. And then wrapping up these pillars, Gen X values adaptability, individuality, and respect. And that's really key. They're starting to they're the older ones in the workforce now, and they expect a lot of recognition and expect around who they are and what they bring to it to feel valued. Millennials are really searching for a place that is diverse in its staffing, inclusive in its staffing and the business core values, and looking for sustainability in how the business functions. Whereas Gen Z now is really all about social justice, environmentalism, and equality. So just to kind of help you think where they really fall. Now, we humans are not robots. We're not programmed. So there may be some overlap from one to the other. probably based on who they were influenced by. So millennials are going to be influenced by their parents who are end of boomer into Gen X, and then so on. So they're going to bring to the table some of the values from the previous generations. Okay. So how do we connect with the next generation? Because let me tell you, friends, this is not a struggle that only you are having. This is told throughout history. There has always been a challenge in recorded history of bridging these generational gaps and what the incoming generation does differently and how it's met with resistance from the existing reigning or leading generation. So you're not alone in this, but when we can appreciate each other's unique perspectives, each other's work ethics and life values, and even though it's different from ours, let's just agree that there could be something we could learn to be even more effective, to find an even more sustainable work-life balance, and to be more efficient in what we do within our roles at work. So let's break down the concept of task load and scheduled work times. Okay. Again, this is very broad, but this is something to really look into as you are scheduling and assessing how you leverage Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. Okay. So Gen X will really have a hard time leaving at the end of their shift before a project is done. Because of that, you want to be careful not to take advantage of this, as they will often stay late and work alone if needed. Millennials would stay to help get the project done as long as the team is willing to stay. But if the team decides, let's go home and finish another day, then they're going to want to go home as well. Gen Z compartmentalizes their work and life. Like, it is very blocked. So Gen Z has a very busy schedule in their own view of their life. Even if it's to go home and play video games, they're going home probably to do that with a group of friends and spend time with their friends. So they have a very busy schedule in their perception, and their work time is separated from personal time. Therefore, when their shift is able, they will expect to be able to leave right on time, even if the project isn't done. And for those of you who are Gen X, you may even perceive this to be they are literally clock watching. They may even have an alarm set on their phone. And when it is their time to leave, I have literally observed them walk away from even a customer or a project to get their stuff to leave. That's how compartmentalized their life is. Now, this doesn't mean that they're wrong in that approach. When you say, will you work from this time to this time, and they agree to that, then that's the time they have allotted to give you. You just have to learn, as a leader who might be a millennial or a Gen X or even a boomer, how to plan in your business for that. If you foresee the day to be a little bit longer than what you initially scheduled, to talk to them at the beginning of their shift to see what their availability looks like is usually the most effective. Or what you might need to do is let them know that you would like a 5-minute heads up before they're going to get their stuff. And that's kind of a meeting ground. You're like, hey, my shift's over in 5 minutes. Is there someone who's going to come take over for this, or something like that? Okay. All right. So how do we approach a leadership mindset with that particular pillar? Well, when you recognize the distinctions in work approaches, then it will allow you to manage your team fairly and foster really an environment where really no individual is left behind. You're not going to leave your Gen Xers to just finish something alone, because they will, and end up working harder than somebody who's getting the same pay and is the same title that might be a millennial or Gen Zer. Okay, so moving on to titles and role clarity. Gen Xers usually understand a management hierarchy, and they will need very little explanation for rules and expectations. Usually you can kind of put like a job description in place and who their direct report is and who that boss is in front of them. But they will be very critical on their bosses and expect their bosses to be just as knowledgeable as them. Your millennials will respect a management hierarchy, and they will push themselves to move up any ranks as quickly as possible And they will do that by emulating what they observe in their bosses. So if you're a very hands-off approach boss who is just do this, this, and this, they will begin to adopt to that. If you are, they will need to see how you want your customers treated, how you want a certain routine done, because they will look for the most efficient and quickest way to get the job done. So you want to be really crystal clear. Gen Z. Gen Z are usually not concerned with titles or roles. They will work best for anyone who takes time to develop them and explain the why, the business why behind any rules or expectations. So if you have a Gen Zer, you may find that they are actually more loyal or responsive to maybe a supervisor you have versus you personally as the owner or general manager or whatever your role is as you are listening to this. Okay. So how do you adopt that leadership mindset with helping them understand titles and role clarity? Well, first, understanding their perspective of it and giving a foundation for tailoring your strategies to the individual preferences. But I will say across the board, if you lead by example and take time to provide the why to everyone, it will help expectations be crystal clear, and you'll be able to move forward with giving direction and follow up without any objections. Okay. Career growth. You want to hire someone into your business. You're hoping they are someone who can grow. Here is their mindset within that generally. Okay. Your Gen Xer will prioritize their personal development and expose themselves to various situations so that they can gain experience. They will seek out, hey, can I do this so I can learn it? They may even do a lot of self-study on their own. They're learning how amazing YouTube is, or maybe they already know, and so they're watching, training videos and podcasts for something within their industry, maybe not specific to your brand, but they just want to better themselves, and they will expect their hard work and loyalty to lead to career growth. Okay. Millennials are going to seek out meaningful work. They want to make sure when they clock in, they feel they're part of something bigger and better. And they will stay loyal to a place where they feel that good is being done and that they are positioned to advance quickly. So very important. They really want to make sure that their time is being spent doing good in the world. And they also want to make sure that they're moving as fast as they can. They rarely want to give time to repeat a success. They want to accomplish it, move up, accomplish it, move up. So depending on your industry, that can be really helpful, right? They can master a behavior or something and be ready for next. And then in other industries, you will have to preface their development that they might feel like they've mastered it, but you want to see it be consistently mastered for X amount of time. So the communication will just need to be upfront with that, but they will need to feel continually challenged while they are, taking that amount of time to prove to you either true understanding or capability or what have you. Okay. Gen Z. Gen Z is going to seek out a work environment where they are being developed and learning constantly, and they are going to want to know that their efforts result in career growth. Very close to millennials, but as long as Gen Zs are being challenged and provided the training and development, they're not so much going to seek out external development on their own. They would rather you, through technology, provide what it is you think will be best. They're going to do it for themselves in an area they're passionate about. But if they're working for you for a paycheck, maybe you run a restaurant and their life goal is not to be a restaurateur, then they're not going to seek out things to develop them within the restaurant industry. Maybe they're going to school for aviation, so they are going to seek out things that will develop them as a pilot or something like that. Does that make sense? So if you want them to get better at something within your particular business, then you will have to give them paid time while they're clocked in to watch, review, or read something that could help them within. Now, that doesn't mean they won't want to grow while they're there, but they won't necessarily intend on being there long term. They just want to grow quickly based on them doing well, based on them achieving the goals that you set for them, and them excelling in it. So how do you have a leadership mindset around this? Well, understanding that each generation approaches their career differently allows you to make sure you have meaningful conversations with all of your employees. And also, you got to address the elephant in the room. Do they want to grow? And what is the reality of that within your business? So you're definitely going to hire people in who are going to be great with part-time, hourly, no problem, or even part-time, 1044 and they're, commission only, no problem. But as you bring individuals in, it's good to at least find out so that you aren't not nourishing somebody who could be a future business leader for you. All right. Conflict resolution. I feel I get asked this so much. How do I handle this? They're not understanding each other. So let's talk about this a little bit. Your Gen Xers will prefer a face-to-face process. They will seek leadership intervention. So they expect whoever is their next level to be involved and help ensure there is a compromise and resolution. Again, they're looking for their leaders to be more experienced than them. So they're going to want to see that leadership presence in conflict resolution. Now, millennials, they would like to have an open dialogue with the group, and they really want it to come across as a collaboration. Excuse me. Okay. Meaning they're willing to bend if the other person's willing to bend. And they really have some innovative and creative ideas for problem solving. So letting them talk and share ideas will be much more effective than saying, you're wrong, this person's right, you need to apologize, right? Because it's all about perception a lot of times. So allowing them to talk about how they feel and how they see it being resolved, and allowing the other individual to talk can really help get things resolved a lot sooner. And a lot of times your millennials will actually have the strength and desire to even just seek out whoever they might have a problem with to discuss it and come to a resolution on their own. The challenge begins when they are trying to talk to somebody in a different generation from them, because the other generation may not respond the same way they do. So then it appears that it's not resolved. So you can help your millennial who's willing, no, I'll sit down with her, be like, okay, well, just keep in mind, they're going to be looking for this, or you may get, you may find this is effective if you try this, but then also prepping the other individual for how they might be approached. And then your Gen Zers, they do not mind handling everything digitally. A couple texts or an email back and forth, they don't mind. They don't need to see face-to-face. They don't need the actual eye contact and physical touch, if you will. I will say this, though, they are perfectly fine with direct feedback. And that's not something that sometimes millennials or Gen Xers are okay with. They usually want to make sure that everybody feels okay. They don't want to offend anyone. They're really feeling the effects of cancel culture in a different way than Gen Z is. But I will tell you, Gen Z is resilient and bold, and they can handle direct feedback given fairly and professionally when it's in the approach of solving a problem. So, for example, Gen Z could absolutely hear, hey, you have been late 3 times, and this is really affecting how my customer service is, my customers aren't getting things done on time. How can we compromise here? What do we need? What's going on? And they will typically like, oh, I should set my alarm sooner. I'll do that. Sorry. Like it's that, you can be that blunt and direct with them. Okay. So leadership mindset here. Now that you kind of understand the diverse approaches to conflict resolution, as a leader, not a manager, as a leader, you need to help your individuals understand and respect each other. Okay. All right. Time off and vacation. So chances are my smaller businesses with only 2 or 3 people brought in, or maybe you have a lot of independent contractors under your belt right now. Time off of vacation may not apply to you, but it's a mindset thing. So let me prep you for this. And for those of you who do have a few full-time workers, then this might be something that you're trying to offer as perks. Gen Xers, they view their vacation as a time to relax and recharge. However, they may be very hesitant to take any extended time off. So, and if something big comes up at work, they're going to be the most willing to be like, oh, let me change my schedule. Or they may even feel their job is in jeopardy if they adjust their schedule. Now, your millennials. Millennials value vacation time as an opportunity to explore and learn. So they are going to take longer breaks, but they are willing to stay connected through technology. So they may ask you to take 2 weeks off to go, to Europe and see their family, but they might be willing to check in and do something digitally in between. So maybe there's a compromise you could come to where they can take the time they need, but your business can still be supported in some facet. And then Gen Zers. Gen Zers will view time as a chance to experience new things and seek personal growth. And they will value that over possessions. So resistance to giving them time to experience that and travel may be met with them willing to leave and just seek out new employment when they come back. But like millennials, they may also be willing to do things digitally to support the needs of the business if necessary while they take that time off. So I think it just comes with a conversation with them and maybe revamping how you have your thought process set up. For example, us Gen Xers, those of us that have worked for corporates forever really have this kind of cut and dry, you get 1 week off a year, plan it, take, and that's it. A lot of progressive companies are looking at how they can allow for extended time off and set up technology, remote work when applicable. So something to think about. This could easily be a perk that you evolve with in your business. So that leadership mindset, coming back to that, honoring these various perspectives in generations allows you to make sure, again, there's fairness. Remember, your Gen Xer might be willing to give up their vacation, or they may be even hesitant to even ask for time off, whereas your millennial will easily rack up 2 or 3 weeks off because they're asked for it and you feel, okay, sure. So you've got to make sure that things are fair for everyone on your staff. And if you're giving amount of time to one person, and the other person is of an equal, status or level, you need to make sure that they are taking their times. And you might even need to pull a calendar out and say, hey, let's book something. You deserve time as well. She's taking a week next month. When can you take a week this month? Right? And just really make sure that they feel valued. Okay. Health and illness. Y'all, this is such a big one because you have to understand Gen Zers are coming out of the COVID era. So let's go back here. Your Gen Xers will tough it out. They are going to come to work, even if they are visibly sick. And this stems from their perception of them showing up with a strong work ethic. Your millennials will take sick days as necessary and even what is now called self-care days. But they may be willing to work remotely when sick. So they might be like, you know what, I'm just not feeling that great today. Can I do this role from home? Or I'm just really not feeling well today. I'm sorry, I cannot come in. Gen Zers will take sick days as needed. They will take self-care days when they feel it's needed. And they will work remotely for you if that's a compromise you need. But they may want to just compartmentalize. No, this is my self-care day. I need this. And sometimes it's hard to understand, especially myself coming, out of Gen X, when somebody can just easily call in sick and just not come in because they are truly not feeling well. I came from that generation where I came in with a stuffy nose and a sore throat and a cough. But you think of this in the bigger picture, you don't want to get the rest of your team and your customers sick. So when we dig into that leadership mindset, making sure that you're putting each other's health and wellness first and creating an environment where people understand that you want them to be their best so that they don't compromise the customer experience and each other's experience. You'll have a harder time pushing your Gen Xers out, but you cannot be disappointed when your millennials or your Gen X Zers say, you know what, I need today, I'm sorry, and call out. Now, you may have a point system for attendance, and that could help manage whether call outs are done excessively, but you need to encourage fairness and balance and help the team not take advantage of one generation or the other. So I think the most important thing as you are working on leading these different generations and their approaches to work is to first be curious. You really have got to get to know each individual on your team, and then encourage your leaders to get to know the team as well and understand the various work approaches. And then really, it's important to be fair. Make sure that you have systems in place and have a way to dictate clear expectations so that no one feels left out, nobody feels targeted, and everyone feels safe. So this all starts with your mindset as the head of the company. You have a privilege as a business leader and owner to choose how you are going to treat every employee. That's going to be your choice in what you set up. So to assume that others feel lucky to have a job working for you is not going to inspire the results that you want. You really need to take care of those that have come into your fold and work on nurturing them, developing them, hearing what it is that their hopes and dreams are, and how your business can leverage them getting closer to their hopes and dreams, and then also making sure it's fair for everybody. I absolutely love this quote by Simon. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those that are in your charge. So I hope this was helpful for you guys today. Management through leadership is really where we started, just understanding that you've got different, biases that will come up naturally. And then, the whole point of this was understanding the different generations. So what I've created for you was some homework to help you dig in differently to understanding the type of leader that you are, or manager. Do you tend to be more of a manager or a leader? And dig into how you communicate and really adapt to your team. So take time to understand yourself and help your leaders understand themselves so that you can be even more effective within your enterprise. Thank you all so much for joining for this module. See you soon.